So I'm just actually testing my microphone and setting up for my Zoom session. And I'm teaching yin yoga at 6 p.m. on Zoom. So if you are joining me on YouTube, then you can see what it's all about. Hi, Larry and Emerson. And so we're going to be doing 75 minutes of yin yoga. So it's a really meditative form of yoga, and we'll be holding positions for 5 to 7 minutes. So if you've yet to do, then feel free to watch or even grab a bolster or cushions and you can practice with us. If I haven't actually met you, my name's Natasha. So hi. Hi, testing microphone. Hi, testing microphone. Yay, it works. Oh. Stop. Okay. Hi everyone. So I can see you guys just joining, and let me know if you can hear me okay. How's the sound? Can you hear the yeah, perfect. So it's the podcast microphone, so hopefully it actually works. We do have Christy. It keeps saying that you're loading, Christy. Are you actually in? It says that you're just connecting. Hopefully you can see. I can't see your camera. Doesn't seem to be on, Christy. And hi, R. So we're just waiting for a few more people to join. And if you have your bolster and also your blocks, then that would be really useful for today's class. And we will be actually beginning lying down, so feel free to lie down early if you want to. So we have about 5 minutes before we actually officially begin. Hi, Donata. Hi, Anita and Ola. Welcome, everyone just joining. Should be better. Hi, welcome everyone just joining. And if you do have any injuries or anything I should be aware of today, then just make a note of them in the chat. So yeah, I can always advise you if you do not know how to modify. Hi, Katia. Hi, Lucy and Stella and Tristan. Welcome. So if you do have bolsters at home, then it's recommended to grab a bolster or maybe one or two pillows. And also meditation cushions can be good as well. And also blocks. Or if you do not have blocks, then feel free to grab books. So you can always grab some quite thick books to sit on. Hi, Anita. Nice to see you.
Lovely to see you, Natasha. Hi.
Hi. And hi, Vanessa and Marco, James, welcome. Marjan. Anna, welcome. Also, if you have any injuries that you do not know how to modify, then just letting me know in the chat and we can always have a conversation. So we will be making a start in about a minute. So feel free to come to a very comfortable lying down position and we can begin our class today resting on the back. If you do have your bolster, then we could use the bolster in a back bend. So working with the end of the bolster very close to your sacrum and feet together, knees wide, and then roll down through the spine. But if you're working with no bolster, then that's fine too. We could come to rest on the back. So without the bolster, you'd just be lying in a more Shavasana type position. And then you can choose to move your feet together and knees wide here. And so see which one feels best for you here. And if you are brand new to Yin Yoga, then just raising a hand or give me a wave. Anyone brand new to Yin Yoga? Cool, okay, good to know. And so if you are brand new to my classes, my name's Natasha, and welcome to those who may be brand new to yoga in general. So if you are, this is a great practice for beginners. And now to begin our class, we'll take a few releasing breaths. So allowing your whole week to be released with a sigh. So take a deep breath in, breathe all the way down to your lower abdomen. And big sigh out. Long, deep breath in through the nose. Big sigh out. And then one more, inhale deeply and really expand the upper body and the abdomen. Big sigh out. And as you relax here on the floor, just allowing your whole body to soften and to sink. And encouraging your body to let go entirely to gravity. Now, Yin Yoga is a way in which we can shift the nervous system response, so we can move into altered mind states, moving from flight or fight and into rest and digest mode. And so our journey into relaxation today is one in which we can heal the body. So it can be a very healing practice, and one in which we can essentially do nothing but in the best possible way. By coming to stillness, we can also bring the mind into stillness too. And so the practice is much more subtle than just the physical, and it's a journey into the more subtle energies, as each position today is targeting meridian lines. And these are energy pathways running from head to toe. Now to begin, we'll practice a pranayama exercise designed to really shift the nervous system response. So as we breathe in, we'll breathe in for 4, then holding the breath inside of your body for 4, and breathing out very slowly for 6. Let's empty the breath entirely to begin. And take a deep breath in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out slowly for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Breathing in deeply for 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out slowly for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Breathing in deeply for 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out slowly for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now carrying on, but this time counting to yourself mentally and bringing all of your attention to the counting of the breathing. So we breathe in for 4, holding the breath, retaining the breath inside of the body in a very relaxed manner for 4. And then when you breathe out, breathing out very slowly for 6. And take 5 more rounds, counting to yourself mentally. And maybe after 1 or 2 rounds, the mind wanders. So when the mind wanders, see if you can really draw your attention back into the subtlety of the breath movement, how it's flowing. So the smoothness or the steadiness to each part of the breath movement. And it may seem simple, counting to 4, but actually it can be so challenging after a busy day, or if the mind is distracted, then the mind can wander after 3. So just noticing if that's the case today, allow yourself to be in that place. And whenever you notice yourself drift off, or perhaps the mind wanders, when you notice, as soon as you do, returning to the task. And this goes for every pose that we do today, just very patiently returning to the present moment over and over again. Not worrying that you left, but rather that returning to the present moment is the most powerful act. We are interrupting our conditioning, the conditioning of the mind, to return to the present moment. Now taking 1 more round of breathing. And then when you finished your last round, allowing your breath to find its own natural rhythm. And as we move from our lying down position, let's bring the palms behind your legs. Help them to move to the center. Roll to your right side and press to a seated position. Now in your comfortable meditation seat, we could choose to cross your shins, or perhaps sitting on a meditation cushion, or maybe some of you like to move your heels backwards so that your knees are more in a triangle position. So a more triangular meditative pose here. And bring your palms to prayer position. Close the eyes here. And as you turn your attention inwards, think of your sankalpa, your intention. Now, your intention is a very powerful tool, as it's a way in which we can manifest, or let's say magnetize, something towards us that we would love to see happen, or maybe to accentuate in our human experience. So once you have your intention, repeating that 3 times to yourself mentally. And it could be as simple as 1 word, or maybe it's a vision, something you would love to see play out for yourself or somebody else in your life. And holding to mind your intention. And have a wonderful yin yoga today, everyone. When you've set your intention, we'll move into our first hip opening. So this one will be seated, and bring your feet together. Knees will flop sideways. We do not practice with the heels too close to the inside of the legs, but actually we move the feet forwards so that if you were to look sideways, then your knees would be more 90 degrees and maybe more of a square shape with your legs. And then as we fold forwards, round through the spine and hang your forehead towards your feet. So if we were to place the head on top of the feet entirely, then it would be like a pillow for your forehead. Some of you may want to go there. So the feet and the head are aligned, and you do not have to touch them with your head, but rather we could have the bolster in between the two. Having the bolster here with the palms behind the legs or even in front of your legs. So this one we call butterfly position. You could choose to go slightly further forwards. Maybe you don't have props at home. So just hanging your head forwards so that we bring continual traction to the back of the neck and then all the way down the spine. Or alternatively, if you do want to go further, we can move the arms under your legs. So they go through from the inside and under. And so there's many options for butterfly position. We could be more upright or further forwards. But once you find your most appropriate level of sensation, we then allow the body to relax totally. So finding a place where you can become totally relaxed. And this is how we practice yin yoga. Now, there are 3 principles to the practice of yin yoga, and so I'll run through these. Principle number 1 is we always work with the most appropriate level of sensation, and this is one of never too much, but also not too little sensation. So we would like to feel some continual traction in the fascia, but it never be so intense that it creates more tension somewhere else in the body. So we're working with not too much and also not too little sensation. And so as you practice here, comb your awareness throughout your whole body and notice the sensation level. Is it causing your body to tense or tighten? Or can you become more spacious, maybe by adding a few props? And then principle number 2 is once we are in that not too much and not too little sensation spot, so the Goldilocks position, we could call it, then we hold in stillness and muscular relaxation. So this is our second principle of yin yoga. Holding in stillness, really moving inwards, and total muscular softening. And as we hold in stillness, the practice can become much more like meditation in yoga positions. So meditation's main aim is to bring a quietening and a cessation to the fluctuations of the mind. So when we hold in stillness with our body, the mind can more easily rest in stillness too. And the more we bring the mind into stillness, it can affect the body in a positive manner as we begin to soften areas that perhaps we were unconsciously holding or tensing. So everything becomes much more spacious. And then principle number 3 is once we're in stillness, in the position, holding in passivity, total relaxation, we then stay for a long period of time. So we stay for around 5 to 7 minutes. And we stay in each position to really marinate, really allow the position to take effect, to be absorbed by the body. And welcome to those just arriving. So if you are, then we are in butterfly position. If you do want to go further here, we can move the palms further forwards. And at any point, feel free to back away if you're feeling too much. So give your body the space it needs at any point if it becomes too intense. Breathe into your edges, so the edge of the sensation. Really breathing into your comfort or perhaps any uncomfortable sensations. Sensations of uncomfortableness can be part of the experience too. Really luxuriate in the sensation you feel without labeling it good or bad or pleasant or unpleasant. Just see the sensation as a good thing because it's there and it's causing the mind to become more present. So even uncomfortableness can be the route to meditation, as it silences and quietens the mind, if we allow it to. Now taking your last and fullest breath in here. And whenever you feel ready to, we're going to press into the palms and very mindfully and slowly rise to a more upright position. And move your palms behind your legs, helping them to move after this long-held hip opener. And take a simple cross-legged position for a moment in stillness. Take a deep breath in and big sigh out. Resting for a few moments in stillness to really feel into and to perceive any new sensations. Feeling into any sensations inside or around your body. Good, and now for our next position, we're going to move into a wide-legged forward fold. And you can always miss this one out if you want to, but there is a way in which we can modify. So if it feels too much with both legs wide, then we can do one side at a time. So the first option, I'll show you the more intense one, is to take both legs outwards. And once you have your legs wide here, you can choose to make it more intense by moving your palms behind your legs and helping them to move away from one another. So we're working with a wide-legged forward fold in this position and working the channels down the inner legs. If you do want to fold more easily, maybe you're finding it hard at this point to keep your torso forwards, but maybe it rocks back. Then we can bend your left leg and move your palms forwards more easily with one leg bent. So you're working on the inner channel of your right leg first, and then we can switch. So it's up to you. Feel free to practice both legs or one leg. If you are working with both legs and you still want more, bring your palms behind you, lift up your hips, and then move your hips forwards. So even just the tiniest amount can bring more traction to the inside of the legs. And we can do the same thing as we did previously. So we could have our bolster tallways or maybe sideways. and resting your forearms to support in front of you, or perhaps all the way down. So for some of you, you may want to go further by moving your forearms to the ground and your forehead to support. And if you're working into the position and you find that there's just too much sensation, at any point, feel free to bend your left leg. So at any point, you can back away and just work with one leg. Really nice, everyone. So as you breathe in, breathe into the area that you're working within. Could be down the inside of the right leg here, or both legs. And as you breathe out, allow your torso to round forwards, relaxing through the hips and both legs. Now, it could be that you are used to Ujjayi Breath. So Ujjayi Breath is a breath that we use in more dynamic forms of yoga. And we can utilize that in yin, but making it a very subtle and very almost silent Ujjayi breath can be beneficial to really calm and quieten the mind. In this position, we're working in the inner channels of the legs. So this is also including the kidney and the liver meridians, running all the way up the inside of the legs, and also the urinary bladder meridian, which runs down the back of the legs. Physically, so in the physical body, we're targeting the hamstrings, and these can be super tight. And also hip opening, so the inside of the legs and the adductors. And when we are folding forwards, we're rounding through the upper spine, so we work into the back line of fascia, running down the back body. If you are working with your left leg bent, we're going to stretch out through your left leg now, so switching sides. If you're working in the center with both legs long, then you can always remain there. So this time you'll bend your right leg and moving forwards into the fold with your left leg straight, hopefully feeling that continual traction on the inside of the leg. Within the practice of yoga, and especially yin yoga, we're using the physical body to be able to one day sit in meditation. So yoga really is a journey towards being open and flexible, but also strong enough to maintain a meditation seat for long periods of time. So this is why we practice yoga. Yoga is a journey towards meditation. And it can be also the meditation itself. In yin, it's like doing meditation in yoga positions. So we gain an amazing amount of the same benefit as if we were sitting in meditation. So the nervous system calms and switches, moving away from our very adrenalized states and into rest and digest. The brain waves can slow down from quite fast, beta, and into more relaxed brainwave fluctuations called alpha. And maybe if we drift into a kind of dreamy, half awake, half sleep, we could be moving into our subconscious, so theta. And so as the mind moves through this journey, it can be a very healing journey, not only for the physical body, but for deep emotional bodies too. We could say the emotional body and the energetic body, the more subtle bodies within our experience, can be affected too. When we talk about chi or pranic energy, we can really switch that for our emotional, energetic body. So our inner system's rebalancing. Now taking your last 5 deep breaths. And so yin is also working in the fascia, and the fascia is said to store and house our emotional memory. So it can often be a journey that's not only physical, but a letting go of repressed emotions or perhaps feeling emotions for the first time, allowing ourselves to process and also to let go of anything that we've been storing. Now in slow motion, we're going to release. So in order to release from your wide-legged forward fold, press into both palms, move to a more upright position. Move your palms behind the legs and helping them to move together slowly. And come to a meditation seat for a moment in stillness. And here we'll take a deep breath in and big sigh out. Resting in whole body awareness, whole body mindfulness. Now to move into our next position, we'll come to an all fours pose. And from all fours, move your knees backwards so that you have space in front of you. And we're going to reach your palms further forwards and bring your forearms down. So this one we call puppy dog stretch or heart melting position. We can bring the forehead to the ground, maybe one cheek or even your chin. And the heart center, so the center of your chest, drops downwards. So we're really opening through the front of the arms and targeting the heart and the lung meridians. Let me know if you do have any questions or if you would like any advice. Yeah, that looks good. Wave at me if you do find it hard. I can always verbally adjust. That's good. And to feel more sensation, move your elbows inwards. And to feel less sensation, we move the elbows outwards. So you can find the place that suits you the best. Maybe with your elbows bent outwards. Perhaps you feel a little bit less and you're able to hold for longer. But make sure the heart center drops downwards. Relax the musculature around your shoulders, relaxing the whole upper back. So the muscles of your back are really softening as you sink the center of your chest downwards. And as you breathe in, breathe into the back body. As you breathe out, sinking the center of your chest downwards. Breathing into the back body and expanding into the space behind you. And exhale to really sink and soften And whilst we are resting here, there can often be a lot of uncomfortableness. So if that's the case, perhaps a more deep and more dynamic Ujjayi breath can be beneficial to really work into those areas that are feeling tight or stuck or unmoving. So use the power of your breath movement here to encourage the body to soften and to sink in new ways. And so often in this position, we may have resistance. So we may be physically holding ourselves back from total surrender, total relaxation. And Eckhart Tolle mentions that your acceptance of what is can take you to a deeper level where your inner state, as well as your sense of self, no longer depend upon the mind's judgments. So we could be in this pose and be judging ourselves. We could be thinking about wanting to be able to do the pose better. But when we can move beyond the mind chatter, the inner monologue, and go beyond our sense of wanting to do better or to be better, we can soften into what actually is occurring. And so that acceptance of just allowing ourselves to be in the place that we are, just resting as effortlessly as possible in each pose, can take us to a much deeper level where we go beyond judgments of ourself, our practice, and the conditioning of our mind to simply rest in what is. So it may be a very subtle shift that is needed in each position, where you shift away from the physical and into the more subtle, away from, am I doing the pose right? Or away from judgments of whether it's fun or not to do this pose, and going beyond the mind's judgments to a place of space where it's just you and your breath movement. And there's no judgment of whether you're doing it wrong or right, good or bad. You're just resting effortlessly inside yourself, inside and within this very moment. And taking your last 3 very slow, deep breaths into the chest. And breathing into the back ribs. And expanding the breath into your back body. And now in slow motion, we're going to slide all the way forwards and come to rest on the front. So as you move your whole body forwards, from your shoulder opening, we can bend the elbows and maybe slightly round through the upper back as you lower your thighs, the abdomen, and the chest to the ground. So working now into your prone position, relax entirely. Let go of any muscular intensity, or if there is a kind of lasting sensation, then breathe into the muscles and the tissue that feel something, perhaps around the upper back. Take a deep breath in and big sigh out. Good. And now to move into our next position, come to your forearms. And resting on your forearms, we can choose to go into a deeper Sphinx position by working with blocks. So there could be 1 or 2 blocks or even books that you might want to bring under your forearms. And then to have your forearms on something makes it more intense. So we can have the elbows slightly forwards of your shoulders. So not too far back that you're engaging, but actually slide your elbows forwards and then rest more effortlessly on the support of the forearms. So that's if you're using blocks. We don't need to, we can always have the forearms on the floor like so. If you do want to go further, then press into your palms and move your elbows off the ground. And then you can walk your palms towards you to make it more intense. Now in Yin Yoga, we want the pelvis and the front of the pelvis resting on the floor. So if you are lifting your pelvis off the ground, then bring your palms further forwards and really allow the pelvis and the legs to be connected to the earth. As you breathe in, breathe into your back body. As you breathe out, soften and sink down and forwards. So the heart center sinks downwards and forwards, bringing an even curvature to your entire spine. So it's really the level of sensation that is the most important here, not advancing the position. One pose is actually not more favorable than another pose, but they're both allowing the front of your hips to relax. And sometimes when we hold back from going further, we can actually relax more. So in Sphinx position, you may gain a deeper level of relaxation than seal position. But the two can be good to switch between if you're feeling no back pain. So we do not want to feel any pinching or any pain in your lower back. If you do, just please back away, and you can always take child's pose. Child's pose is always an option. And child's pose is where we sink our sit bones backwards, so it's more flexion of the legs. So that's a pose we can go to if we're feeling any pinching or pain in our back, if we are back bending. When I first began yoga, I was really struggling with lower backache. And so it took about 6 months of me avoiding all of the poses that I wanted to do. And for 6 months, I avoided doing any kind of deep back bends. Even though I practiced them before and loved them, I realized that actually if I focus on other positions or take a very subtle back bend instead of a deep one, that the other positions open the body so that one day you can do back bends in a pain-free manner. So lateral bends and twists are opening our spine and releasing any tension in the hip flexors so that one day we can move into back bends and there's no pain. So after 6 months of avoiding all of the fun positions that I used to love, like wheel pose, I then realized when I moved into the positions after 6 months of not doing them, that my body was open and my body could do them, but there was no pain. So having patience with the process if you are working with an injury or a previous injury. And just allow that area to be nourished. And no yoga pose is worth injuring yourself or causing less mobility in the long run. Our journey in yoga should be very sustainable, as we want to be able to do yoga for a long time. And so it may be a journey of holding back. Perhaps that's your journey, doing less. And really surrendering into the stillness and the subtlety of a less intense position. Now, so often if we move into a more subtle level of sensation, a more subtle pose, a lesser range of motion, we can feel more intuitively into the deeper experiences, such as chi or pranic energy, this life force that animates our physical health. And so less is more. Now taking your last 3 deep breaths. Breathing very deeply into your lower back. Really encouraging the breath to move down your back to the lower spine. And now in slow motion, releasing your elbows to the floor. So if you were in seal position, we'll move the elbows downwards. And if you were in Sphinx pose, move the elbows wide really slowly, as even the subtle amount of back bend can cause sensation when we do release. So as you release forwards, come to rest either in prone position, or if you know you need child's pose, immediately you can go there too. And take a deep breath in and big sigh out. Resting in whole body awareness. Now as we move into our child's position, slightly engage your core and press into your palms very, very slowly. Move your knees forwards, bring your big toes together. Knees will be wide, and then moving your sit bones back towards your heels. Come to rest your forehead either to the floor or to 1 or 2 blocks or books in front of you. Resting in your child's pose here. Long, deep breath into the fascia and the muscle across your sacroiliac joint. Good. And now to move into our next position, we'll be working into either wide-legged or we could say wide knee child's pose twist, or into frog position. So frog pose is not always fun. It's a little bit like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. And frog pose is an option I'll throw out there. I actually do love it, but I used to hate it. So frog position is where we move our knees wide and then also turn your toes outwards. So you're working like Charlie Chaplin feet. So your toes turn out, hopefully you can see, and then you move your knees wider and wider over time. So we're working into the splits, but in a sideways manner. We call that box splits. So over time, we prepare the body to move into box splits. So we move the knees away from one another. Make sure that your knees are in line with your hips. And we can be on the forearms or maybe resting all the way to the ground. So we may need a more intense breath here, breathing in very deeply to the hips. And exhale to really soften and allow your body to sink. If you are working instead in child's pose, keep your feet together. So your big toes will be touching, and then we sink the sit bones back onto your heels. But still, to get the intensity in the inner thighs, bring your knees really wide, wider than you normally would. And then we can rest either on the forearms here or resting all the way forwards. And if you want to move into the twist, bring your right arm under your left, taking a twist. And then to go even further, raise your arm and bring your palm behind you to the inside of the right leg. So that's the way in which we twist. Good, really nice, everyone. And if we are working in the twist, there's also a lateral movement. So making sure that you're sliding slightly further towards your left. So it's a lateral bend and a twist. That looks good. So your body is not in the center if you're twisting, but actually slide towards one side and then twist. As you breathe in, breathe into your side body, really expanding the breath into your right side. And every time you breathe out, become muscularly relaxed and soften and sink down. It could be that you're in frog position and the legs slide away from one another. Or perhaps in your wide knee child's pose twist. And you're breathing more into the inner right thigh, where we're targeting the kidney meridian. And also the side of the waist. The inside of the arm that's underneath you is in gentle compression, stimulating the heart and the lung meridians again. Now, if you are twisting, we're going to move to the opposite side. We still want a lot of sensation in the legs, but coming back to the center, this time bring your left arm under and through. Those in frog pose, feel free to release at any point, or if you're able to hold, then carrying on, softening into frog position. Those in the twist, make sure you slide towards your right knee with your left shoulder. As you breathe in, breathe deeply into the inside of the legs. And as you breathe out, become muscularly relaxed and sinking, softening as much as you can. Working in the inseam of the legs, where the trouser seam would be really. And the meridian lines of the legs are in there all around. So from the outside, we'll go inwards. So the outside is the gallbladder meridian. The back of the leg is the urinary bladder meridian. And then the inside, we have the kidney meridian and the liver meridian. So we're targeting the chi flow through these meridian lines that are also corresponding, so they're partners. The gallbladder and the liver meridians are the yin and the yang meridians, and they correspond with the wood element. And then we also have our kidney and urinary bladder meridian pair. And so this is the yin and the yang meridian lines for the water element. Good. Now taking 5 more very slow, deep breaths. Breathing into the inside of the legs. And if you are in frog position, there are ways in which you can get out. One way would be to flop forwards, and the other way would be to press into your palms and to then move your knees very mindfully towards the center. So you walk your knees closer to you over time, maybe with a groan, and then pressing back through one leg and then the other. Release the back of your legs here, flexing through one foot and the other. Really nice, everyone. Now, in order to take a neutral place for your moment in stillness, we could sit back on the heels, or we could come to our meditation seat and see which feels best for you. Take a deep breath in and big sigh out. Resting in whole body awareness. Good, and now opening the eyes as we come to our hip opening. Now I'm going to give you some options for your hip opening. The first one is to move to all fours and slide your right knee to your right wrist, swiveling your toes towards your left hip, and then slide your left toes backwards. So we could choose to move to the forearms here and then resting all the way down. Or if you're taking sleeping swan and you find that there's knee pain, if you feel pressure in your right knee here, or maybe your hips are quite far off the ground and working with blocks under your hips could be an option. Or we could take deer position. Deer pose is where we lower to the right glute by bending your left knee. And then we can move this foot forwards to make it more intense. So it's more of an S shape with your legs. Fold forwards over your right shin here and resting in deer pose. Or if you feel still knee pain, we can move to the back and bring your right ankle to your left knee. So it's up to you where you want to be in this position. If you are also practicing sleeping swan and you would like a different variation, then we can move to swan position. So sleeping swan is all the way to the ground, but swan position is where we press into our palms and we lift the chest. So it's kind of like seal pose earlier, because we rest on our palms effortlessly. Just resting effortlessly with the arms straight, propping up the chest. And focus on softening, really softening your hip flexors and the muscle and the tissue at the front of the hips, allowing them to really let go. This one is swan position. If there is anyone who would like to take swan position even further, then we can bend your back leg and move your palm to the inside of the foot. And then we can hook the elbow, the inner elbow, around the foot itself, resting the palm in a relaxed manner on your shin. This one is a deeper position in Yin Yoga. Still work to soften entirely through your hip flexors. And you may feel more traction down the front of the leg, the abdomen, and the stomach and the spleen meridian lines, part of the earth element. And so there's options, either swan position, sleeping swan, deer pose, or resting on the back. Encourage your body to move into healing mode by totally relaxing. Whole body softens and sinks. Even if you're more upright, become totally effortless, total muscular softening. And practice doing one thing at a time. So it could be that we are in a yoga pose, but then maybe the mind is working away, processing or perhaps storing or analyzing. So practice doing one thing at a time. This is the aim, or really the point of Zen. The ability to do one thing at a time and be totally in the thing that we're doing. So when we're practicing a yoga position, we turn our attention inwards and we travel into our inner space, away from thoughts, away from the analyzing or the judging mind, to feel totally, to really feel what's going on inside. And when we open ourselves up to feeling awareness, then moments of wisdom can come through. The thinking mind can process, but in a very, let's say, a much higher place. We can suddenly see the wood for the trees or have moments of realization that do not need to perhaps be over-analyzed or attended to with such a focus. It's more we open up ourselves to receive the answers, the answer to any question or any challenge that we're facing. So there can be a great wisdom that comes through when we allow ourselves to be still. We allow ourselves to be present. And here we'll take 5 more very slow, deep breaths, breathing into the hips. And just noticing any sensations that are building or releasing. Maybe they're lessening or intensifying around the hips and the legs. Breathe into those sensations. Good. And whenever you feel ready to, press into your palms and move your left knee forwards. Swivel your right foot behind your right knee and then straighten through your right leg. Giving the leg a stretch and a shake if you need to. Come to a place of stillness, either in child's pose or working into thunderbolt position. And take a deep breath in here. And big sigh out. And now to move into our second side, we'll move your left knee towards your left wrist and swivel your toes towards the right hip. Then slide your right toes backwards, working into the second side of either sleeping swan. Sleeping swan is where we move to the forearms and rest the forehead to the backs of the wrists, or maybe one block. Or if we are keen to move into our swan position, we can press into the palms and rest on the palms with them slightly facing outwards, relaxing through the shoulders and the upper back. As you breathe in, breathe into the back body. And as you breathe out, soften and sink down. So there's a quality of surrender and softening, a letting go at the front of the pelvis, where the psoas muscle lies. And if we do want to move away from any knee pain, so if you feel knee pain, then what we can do is move your left glute onto the floor, bending your right knee behind you. And then once you have your left foot slightly forwards, we can then move the forearms to the ground. So this is a way in which we can make sure we're targeting the outer leg, outer glute, outer hip, but no pain in your knee joint. And this one is deer position, deer pose. If you are still feeling knee pain and you need to release away from too much hip opening, then come to rest on the back and bring your left ankle to your right knee. And so there's many options, picking the one that really suits you. And when you've adjusted your position, allow your body to move into stillness, moving into total relaxation. And so just as important as doing everything that we want to do, just as important as this is learning the art of undoing or not doing, just allowing that sense of stillness to take place, whether it's for 5 minutes or for 75 minutes, if we have the time in our day, resting in stillness for a few minutes every day can be a way in which we balance all of the doing. I think of the thoughts that we have and all the information that we collect and process on a daily basis as being like a charge. And we can get supercharged if we do not ground the energy, the charge. When we practice yin and move into meditation, or even take a walk in nature and practice our own stillness in a different manner, we can release this charge that builds up. It's like pressing reset. So we can reset and ground our energies by practicing stillness. Notice as you hold the pose, does the sensation increase, or can you find ways in which you can encourage yourself to soften? With each breath in, imagine that your breath is telling your body that it's safe to let go, to relax. So the breath itself is part of that encouragement, that friendliness that you can turn on yourself, telling the body and the mind that it's safe to surrender. To cease all of the doing, the controlling, the analyzing, to simply rest in passivity. And here we'll take 5 more very slow, deep breaths. And now in slow motion, let's press into both palms and slide your right foot forwards, and then move your left knee behind or in front of even your left foot. So moving your foot behind the knee and flex, releasing through the front of the hip. And now as we come to a lying down position, move to rest on the back. Hugging your knees inwards. And allow your body and your head to rock from side to side, really releasing through the back by drawing the knees inwards. And then whenever you feel ready to, bring your palms a little away from the sides of the body. Allow your fingers to naturally curl and to relax. Moving into Shavasana position. And Shavasana is our final relaxation, so we can set up the pose so that we're super comfortable. You may choose to have a bolster or a few blocks under your knees. So this could be a way that you create more relaxation in the hip flexors and less of a sensation in the lower back. And taking maybe your socks and your jumpers and placing them on or over you, or working with a blanket or two if you're cold. And then once lying down, take a final releasing sigh, breathing in deeply and big sigh out. Resting in whole body awareness. Just allowing your whole body to melt and spread and expand. A physical release, but also an energetic softening, an energetic surrender that's guided by an internal intention, the intention to let go, to totally let go. Surrender is acceptance, acceptance of the moment as it is. As you turn your attention to the breath movement, notice the breath as it very subtly moves. And imagine that your breath is a life force, a vitality, and imagine that it can move beyond your lungs and down your arms, down your legs. This life force or energy moving through all of the channels that we've opened, these energy pathways. Imagine your whole body covered in these energy pathways like highways. And your breath like a stream, like water, flows down and up through the entire body. in this moment of open receptivity, inviting in your sankalpa, your intention. And repeating your intention 3 times mentally. And whenever you feel ready to move, we'll make small movements in your fingers and your toes, bringing life back into your body. Perhaps you take a big stretch and hug both knees inwards. Roll to your right side and come to a seated position. And once in a comfortable seated pose, bring the palms to prayer pose, Anjali Mudra. And we'll close our practice by taking a deep breath in and big releasing sweet sigh. Raise both thumbs to the third eye, your place of intuition, breathing in here. And exhale to fold forwards. And staying folded for as long as you want to really feel the effects. Namaste, everyone. Namaste. And so thank you so much, and feel free to wake up really slowly. And thank you for coming today. And I do have a vinyasa on Monday and a yin yoga on Thursday. So Thursday, 12:30 p.m. is the Zoom Tri-Yoga Yin. And I also have classes on Patreon. So if you're yet to hear about my Patreon, so it's a channel whereby I film yin yoga and also yang yoga. And then there's on-demand classes on my Patreon. So it's a place in which we can support one another, and I can create content that you would like to see. So that one's Patreon/Natasha Kerry Yoga. Hopefully you'll find, but if not, drop me an email. Thank you so much, everyone. Let me know how you get on in the chat. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yay, I'm glad you enjoyed. Bye, my loves. So, YouTube, you came along for that yoga session. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you for joining me. I don't know how to end it. Oh, this.